So I'm here with former NFL linebacker Steve Conley. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How you doing, sir?
Man, excellent. Thank you so much for taking the time. One of the things that we have in common is that we both graduated from Luther South years apart. I was like the class of 2000. I don't know what year you graduated.
91. How? That was the best year. You should know that.
Okay, okay.
The trophies didn't give it away? No, I'm just joking.
Okay. What was your experience like going to Luther South?
Oh, it was special. It was from my freshman year all the way up to my senior year. Nothing but good things to say about, the teachers that I was blessed to have, the players that I was blessed to do my athletic career with, especially the friends that I got to know over the years. To this day, still talk to a lot of people from my graduating class. We try to get together, as much as possible whenever I come to Chicago. And it was a special time. And we did some special things while we were there. So it was a real good time.
What was one of your memorable moments?
I got several. The one that stands out, of course, I always wanted to win a state championship in track, basketball, and football. That was my goal anyway, especially football. But we did end up winning a state title in '91 in track, which was awesome. We were runner-up my junior year. But my senior year, I felt like me, Marcel Kerr, and Rob Forrest, every time we see each other, we always say we felt like we could have did the trifecta in one state in football, basketball, and track that year. We came short in basketball and we came close in football. And football was what I really wanted to do because we were the first team to ever make the playoffs in football. I believe it was my sophomore, junior year to make the playoffs in football. And then our senior year, we were real competitive and we were one of the best teams in state, but didn't win state that year, but came close to doing it.
And after graduating from Luther South, you attended the University of Arkansas. What made you decide to go there?
I was actually on my way to the University of Wisconsin, where Coach Alvarez was the head football coach there. He recruited me. It was a tough decision not to go there because I really wanted to stay close to home. I was looking for a place where I can do two sports, which was, in this case, it would have been football and track. But I grew up, following my brother at the University of Arkansas. I knew the coaches, and I didn't know what sport I wanted to play. And it was one of the few places I could have went on that level where I actually can try and play three sports, which I did. I'm probably the only person ever try to do basketball, track, and football in the same year. Was able to do it, but ended up staying with football.
Wow. What was the experience like being a Razorback?
It's great. It was a learning experience. It was totally different than what my high school experience was, and both were great, but totally different. The biggest thing is it felt like nobody told you what to do. Like when I was at Luther South, I had people holding me accountable. You had to be here at this time, that at that time. In college, if they tell you one time, and if you're not there, there's consequences for you not. You got to be at class at this time. You got to wake yourself up and get there. You got to be at practice at this time. You got to wake yourself and get there. You got to make sure you pass your classes. If not, you're being eligible. It was basically getting you ready for life. And I thought the University of Arkansas did a great job with that. The coaches that I had were awesome. The teammates that I had was something that I'll never forget. And it was one of those great experiences that I wish my kids, and I pray that my kids get to experience as well, because all of them are into athletics, and I hope their experience is at least half or not 10 times better than what mine was.
So your senior year at University of Arkansas, you're named first team all SEC. Are you thinking like, at this point that you're going to the NFL?
Going into the season, before the season started, I was a person to watch. They didn't have any projections for me just yet. I was a person to watch because of my junior year at our pro day. I did all fours. I ran like a 4.44 and a 40. I jumped a 40-inch vertical. I did a standing broad jump of 11. And it was like, man, who is this kid? So it was like, okay, we got to watch and see if this athletic ability that he's showing in testing shows up on the field. And at the end of my senior year, I led the SEC in sacks. I believe I was second in the country in sacks that year. and made all first team all SEC, which was a huge feat because everybody know how tough the SEC is, and even at that time it was. It was a humbling experience. I was excited. One of those things I still hold to this day. I got the plaque on my wall. I look at it because I know of all the hard work it took to get to it. It wasn't easy. I can actually say Luther South had a lot to do with it. The stuff that I went through, under Coach Rainey and Coach Dennis and all of them, from a football standpoint, it just gave me perseverance to work hard and keep my nose clean and hope for the best, my playing career while I was at Arkansas.
And you get drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers in the 3rd round.
Yes. That was a nerve-wracking experience. Everybody's always asked, what is it like to be drafted? I always say nerve-wracking, because everybody's telling you where you're going to be projected. I had somebody say, hey, you're going to go, you could possibly go late 1st round, early 2nd, or late 2nd. So you're always going to think the best. So I'm thinking I might be a late 1st round or early 2nd draft pick. Well, I'm watching the draft, and people don't realize at that time it was longer than it is now. I mean, by the time you got to the 3rd round, you were already like 6 hours into the draft. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but that's what it felt like. So when the 2nd round goes by and my name's not called yet, and I got like probably well over 200 people at my house, waiting for my name to be called. They got the street blocked off for me, in South Side of Chicago. They're ready to celebrate before me. And now this celebration that I had turned into a nerve-wracking experience, because now I'm about to feel embarrassed because after the 3rd round, they don't do it to the next day. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm not going to get drafted. So when Pittsburgh called my name, that was one of the most exciting moments of my life at that time, to hear them say, Steve, now 72 pick, which was the same year I was born, 72. I was like, one of my favorite teams growing up, the black and gold. It was just a surreal experience. Only thing that could have been more surreal if I got drafted by the Bears, with your hometown team. The Steelers, but hearing the Steelers call my name was something special.
Yeah. What was it like playing in the NFL?
It was a job. That's what I tell everybody. It's business first. And if you don't take it as a business, you'll go with the acronyms. NFL stands for not for long. For the players, that's what it really stands for, because the average lifespan is only 2 years there, because it's a cutthroat league. They want production right away from you. It's a business, and you got to treat it as such. And I learned that real quick while I was there. The Rooney family and Coach Cowher, I was blessed to play under a great coach, a great organization. I wish I could have did more there. I felt like I had a lot more to give. I had 3 years there, but I really felt like I had a lot more to give to that organization. I wish I could have did a little bit more for them.
You also played in the Canadian Football League and the XFL.
Yeah. Now, the Canadian Football League was actually fun. They don't pay you nothing. They don't pay you that much money, but it was actually fun. People ask me, how was it? I said, man, it was actually a real fun experience, because it was I can say totally different in the NFL, but it was very different. The one, the field size was amazing. It's like twice the size of a regular football field. The end zone is 20 yards. The goalpost is in the middle of the end zone. As a defensive player, you got to play a yard off the ball. There's 12 players on the field. It's only 3 downs. I mean, it's a faster game, believe it or not. The players are not necessarily faster, but the game itself moves faster. So I found myself, first game, I kind of took it for granted, and I got a little tired. I was like, man, I gotta get my mind right. This is some serious ball. And after I got my mind right, I think I ended up having like 2 or 3 sacks my first game, and I got a Canadian Player of the Week, which was my first game in the CFL, which was awesome. So I'm up here thinking, you get Player of the Week, you'll get some bonus or something, and I'm expecting some extra money. And their bonus, they gave you a bottle of whiskey. I'm like, I was like, I guess I'm in Canada, right? So I'm not sure what I was going to do with that, because I can drink whiskey.
What about the XFL? Because you said like the Canadian Football League was fun. So I'm
so the XFL, man, because now that was exciting for this reason, because I did play for the Chicago. They was called the Chicago Enforcers at the time. That was a real cool experience. I thought if the marketing was done a little bit better, that it would have sustained more than 1 year. I think the XFL that they're doing right now under Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, I think they've learned a lot from the mistakes that they did in the past, and they're fixing those mistakes with this current league. And the biggest mistake is that they made when they first came out. They said this is going to be real football, and they were trying to go head to head against the NFL, as opposed to trying to be a farm league or join, fit in where you can get in. When they try to go head to head with NFL and say, hey, this is going to be real football, that didn't go over real well, and I think it was short lived. But the game itself, I thought it's a lot of rules that they started when I played are still in effect. The overhead camera that you see right now on Monday nights and Sunday Night Football in NFL, that was an XFL thing. I think a lot of rules that you're seeing right now in the XFL today, don't be surprised if you see it in college ball and NFL as well. But as far as my experience goes, it was great, especially being able to play at Soldiers Field, which was a dream of mine. Although it wasn't with the Bears, I'll take it as I can get it.
Man, you touched on it a little bit earlier about, your brother being Mike Conley, who's an Olympic medalist, and then his son is, basketball player, point guard Mike Conley Jr. What's it like being from such an athletic family? Is it a little more competitive at family reunions?
Oh yeah, growing up, I'd be lying if I said I didn't look up to my brother. I mimic everything he did. I couldn't wait to go to his basketball games, his football games, watch him at track. It was a 10 years difference with us. So, being 10 years apart, I was always that little brother. But once I got of age and I started making my own mark, it was kind of intriguing because the same year that I got drafted, he was getting ready for the Olympics, the '96 Olympics. So it was a special time in the Conley household. You had one brother, just got drafted by the Pittsburgh Steelers. You had another two-time Olympian getting ready for the '96 Olympics. So it was a lot of comparison, a lot of celebration, and it was a lot of competition always growing up. I think our biggest competition was always on the sport that met in the middle. He was track, I was football, but I think our competition was always on the basketball court.
Okay.
I think that's where we had our biggest competition. I think it came head to head where we got a chance to play with Michael Jordan in a celebrity basketball game, and he was on Jordan's team, and I had to stick Jordan, and that was cool. But actually, before that, let me backtrack a little bit. Actually, it was actually at the old school, new school, Luther South All-Star game that I did. My first year when I got drafted by Pittsburgh, I came back. I don't know did you go to that by any chance?
Yeah, I did. The
okay,
one
cool.
what Common was there, and
yeah. That was actually the first one I did was by far the best one. We had Jerome Bettis, Simeon Rice, GCI did a great job of promoting and hosting, and it was. And then me and my brother were the two heads. I was the head of the new school. He was the head of the old school team, and I believe we won that day. But it was that was probably when we had our biggest battles, and bragging rights.
Definitely, man. You talked about guarding Michael Jordan. How did that go? Yeah,
that went very well at the start. It didn't finish so good though. So I forgot which championship they were coming off of. His college roommate was throwing a celebrity basketball game at Sun Devil Stadium in Arizona at the basketball arena. And so my brother initially asked me if I wanted to go with him. So I was going there to watch him playing it. And then when I got there, they found out I played professional ball. They said, hey, you want to play? I said, sure. So we in the locker room, and it's Avery Johnson, Anthony Peeler, and some other, but those are two names I remember outside of Jordan. And they're just putting the teams together. And of course, when they put the team together, everybody wanted to be on Mike's team. So Jordan's roommate was pretty tall, but of course he's going to be on Jordan's team. But me and Mike was the next two tallest guys there, me and Jordan. So of course I had to play against them. So the game starts, I'm start the game. I got to jump. I'm jumping against Jordan. And before the ball is tipped, I said, man, Mike, how much I got to pay to let me win this tip? He said, man, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. I said, oh, crap, you're taking this a little serious. I said, anyway, The ball was jumped up and I won the tip. I said, I'll take it anyway, because trust me, he was still on cloud nine because they just literally came off a championship. He looked like he was just partying. Anyway, start the game off. I'm taking this serious. And my claim to fame is I could jump out the gym. I'm dunking, I'm balling. I'm going crazy. I'm actually the highlight initially of the first half of the All-Star game. Well, my head got a little bit too big. Mind you, I told you he was probably half hungover for whatever reason. He was at the top. He was at the free throw line, I believe he was. And I looked at I was sticking him, and I was playing off of him for some reason. Don't ask me why. And he looked at me like, "You gonna play off on me?" And I looked down. I said, "What you gonna do?" Oh, what'd I do that for? He hit that shot. I think he hit like the next 15 points. All you heard was Jordan, 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 Jordan. But that first half, hey, it was Steve. But after that, it was over. But that was something I would never. The one thing my biggest regret is it's nothing I can regret. But there's no social media. There's no video during that time. All I can do is tell the story to my kids. It's like one of those urban legends, like did it really happen type things.
That's a great memory, though. I see the logo behind, like, for Conley Fitness. You have your own gym, like, now in Fayetteville, Arkansas.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's a dream of mine. When I was it actually started when I was at the University of Arkansas. I had a great strength coach named Coach John Stuckey, may he rest in peace, who took me under his wing because I was a skinny kid from Chicago, 180 pounds. They wanted me to play defensive end, and so I had to his goal was to put a whole lot of weight on me. So anyway, during the process of him putting me through the weight program and me gaining weight, I'm learning a whole lot about fitness. And he's one of the best in the country to teach me. So by the time I get to my senior, he ended up transferring to, I think, the University of Tennessee. But everything that he instilled in me still stuck with me. I just loved working out. I love the concept of fitness. I was a kinesics major, studied human movement. And so even when I got to the league, every time I met a strength coach, I would just absorb everything that they were doing. So I learned a whole lot of workouts. And even in my training for the league, I would just always get this knowledge about fitness. So when I officially retired, I got my degree and my certification in it. I always had a goal of wanting to open up my own gym. So like any businessman would, I decided to open up my gym during the heart of COVID. That's the craziest thing to do. That's exactly the opposite to what to do. But I had an opportunity. God bless me with an opportunity to open my business. And it's been pretty good ever since then. I'm going into my third year of Conley Fitness.
Man, congratulations on all your success. There's a lot of, like, younger athletes that watch my channel. Do you have any advice, like, you would tell them, like, like, for playing on the next level?
Oh yeah. Take it. Don't look ahead. It's okay to dream. It's okay to dream. Don't look ahead, meaning that everybody will tell you what you're going to be. Everybody, let's say if you're a high school let's keep it at basketball. Let's say if you're a high school basketball player, they say, "Hey man, you're going to do awesome in the pros." Well, let's win a state championship in basketball first for your high school. Let's make all conference for your high school first. Let's make sure we got all the fundamentals first. Let's get some college offers first. And then when you get to college, oh man, you got a chance to make it to the league, man. Let's take care of college first. Let's make sure we graduate first. Let's make sure we do everything that the coach asks for. Let's make sure I'm honing my skills here. Because a lot of times when you look ahead, you miss the opportunity and how fun it is, the purity of the sport. You can't get it back once you leave. Like everything, I wish I had another day at Luther South of how fun and pure everything was, just one day, and even in college for that matter. And it would have made me appreciate the pros that much better. It makes me appreciate the pros that much better if I understood what it was going to be like, when I got to the pros. So I would just tell them, stay humble, enjoy where you're at. Don't look ahead. Take the advantage of where you are today, because that'll help you for where you want to go later.
Thank you so much, Steve Conley, for taking the time. I really appreciate you.
All right, no problem. And I always like to say this: I got my quote I'll leave for the to your audience. I got this on my gym wall. If you go to my website, conleyfitness.com, you will see it. I live by it. If you want something you never had, you have to do something you have never done. And I say thank you for doing this podcast, and I wish you great success in what you're doing, Ryan.
Most definitely. I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much.
All right, you too, man.